Good afternoon. Welcome to the news update at 12 on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I am Pat Aito. The federal government has suspended the proposed increase in registration fees for the 2027 West African Senior School Certificate Examination (WASC) and the National Examination Council (NECO) Senior School Certificate Examination, pending wider consultation with the stakeholders. The ministry said the proposal was withdrawn following public concerns and feedback. It added that the review was initially prompted by rising costs associated with conducting national examinations, including logistics, security, printing, and technology. The ministry said Minister of Education Tunji Alausa directed that the proposal be put on hold to allow for broader consultations in line with the federal government's commitment to inclusive and evidence-based policy making. The federal government has concluded strategic engagement with leading global aircraft manufacturers to secure favorable aircraft acquisition deals for indigenous airline operators and strengthen Nigeria's aviation industry. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, said the latest visit to Bombardier's Laurent Bourdieu Completion Center in Montreal, Canada, completed a series of engagement with major manufacturers including Boeing, Airbus, and Embraer. He said the goal is to connect Nigeria Airlines directly with aircraft manufacturers. Keyamo said the initiative is expected to give local operators easier access to aircraft financing, acquisition options, and technical partnerships, helping to modernize airline fleets, improve safety standards, and boost operational efficiency. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has extended the deadline for political parties to uphold the deadlines of the presidential, vice presidential, and National Assembly candidates to its candidates nomination portal until July 14. INEC said the extension followed an appeal by the Impact Party Inter-Party Advisory Council on behalf of political parties that were unable to complete the submission process within the earlier deadline. The Commission also confirmed that the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party have successfully uploaded the candidates' details. The electoral body said the decision reflects its commitment to an inclusive electoral process and urged all political parties yet to complete the exercise to take advantage of the extension before the new deadline expires. The Nigeria Customs Service and the Customs Administration of Benin have entered a partnership to deploy geospatial technology to strengthen border security and surveillance along the shared frontier. The agreement was reached during a meeting at the ECOWAS Joint Border Post in Semakrak, where officials said the initiative is aimed at improving border management, curbing cross-border crime, and facilitating legitimate trade between both countries. Speaking at the event, Customs Area Controller Abdullahi Kaila said the technology will help address security challenges and improve revenue collection. He added that the new system will identify vulnerable border locations and support the strategic deployment of personnel for more effective operations. A man who was declared missing during the Oyo-Osun boundary communal clash in 2024 has been confirmed dead after the Oyo State Police Command recovered his body from a shallow grave nearly 2 years later. The discovery followed the arrest of a suspected gunman who allegedly confessed to the killing and led investigators to the burial site. Our correspondent, Damlola Dauda, reports.
Nearly 2 years after a resident went missing during the Oyo-Osun boundary communal clash, the Oyo State Police Command has uncovered his body from a shallow grave following the arrest of a suspected gunman linked to the killing. The discovery came after the arrest of Rabiu Yusuf over another shooting incident in the same community. Police said the suspect confessed to killing the victim, identified simply as Shegun, and led investigators to where the body had been buried. The Oyo State Police Public Relations Officer officer, CSP Ayonlade Olayinka, said Segun was killed during a violent clash between residents of Iyanofa, Iyanogbo, and Oke Oba Barakbo communities along the Oyo-Osun boundary near Iwo. He explained that after the victim was shot, the suspect buried his body in a shallow grave, making it difficult for security agencies and the family to find him despite months of searching. According to the police spokesman, the case was reopened after Rabiu Yusuf was arrested in connection with another communal clash. During interrogation, the suspect alleged confessed to the killing and showed police where the victim was buried.
In 2023, there was a communal crisis between Iyanofa, Iyanogbo, and some other community bordering in between Oyo State and Osun State, close to Iwo there. This individual was killed in the year 2024 by this suspect here you can see, and they killed the said man, shot him and hid his body. Buried him at a shallow grave in one of the places. At that time, when the incident happened, the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Police Command, visited the scene together with the Deputy Governor of the state, and all efforts to locate the body of the deceased proved abortive. Not until recently, when this same suspect shot at a man whom he alleged to have attacked him in the same community, bordering on land disputes, and he was arrested. And upon thorough investigation by the men of the monitoring units of the command, he confessed to have been the one, together with 3 other ones who are still at large, that killed the said Segun and buried him at in a shallow grave there in the Iyanofa area. I can tell you, for someone who killed another individual and buried him at a shallow grave, sold his motorcycle, threw his phone into the river, and do some other thing to cover up his tracks, that speaks volume of his action.
Speaking in the police custody, Rabiu Yusuf admitted shooting the deceased, but claimed that he acted after repeated attack on his community by people from Iyanofa. He alleged that he had earlier survived a gun attack during one of the clashes and later shot the victim during another confrontation.
Torí àwọn yòókù ẹ̀ ti wà ní àdúgbò tán tí ń ṣàwọn iléeṣẹ́ káàkiri òun náà bá wa jà ní. ìgbà tí wọ́n pa ìkan lára àwọn fìjìláńtẹ́ wa àwọn fìjìyàn wa tí wọ́n fún wa ń gbà yẹn kó tó di parí òkú bọ̀bọ́ yẹn after 6 days ni látòrí ibi tán gún tán tọ́jú pamọ́ sí wọ́n dìde kún wọn lọ́rùn ni ìfún ká tó gbé òkú ẹ̀ ká tó lọ sí gan-an gbà yẹn. àwọn ọ̀bọ yẹn náà ni wọ́n tún wá again. Èmi ń bọ̀ láti ìgboro torí inú abúlé mi náà mo ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ tí mo ti ń dáko. Àwọn ará Ọ̀fà, àwọn ọmọ Ọ̀fà, Akímù Ọlọ́fà àti gbogbo àwọn bodyguard ẹ̀ náà jọ ń wá kógun jà wá. On the 25 oṣù kẹfà ọdún tá a wà yìí wọ́n wá ká mi mọ́ ni. Àwọn tí wọ́n wá ń jọ yẹn wọ́n tó méje. The Oyo State Police Command says investigations are ongoing to arrest the remaining suspects and ensure everyone involved is brought to justice. Damilola Daudu reporting for Dominion News.
Christ Apostolic Church Arogunbogunmi International has celebrated its 30th Founders Day anniversary with the host Baba Arogunbogunmi and the General Evangelist of Christ Apostolic Church Nigeria and overseas Prophet Richard Kolawole JP, leading members in thanksgiving to God for 3 decades of divine faithfulness while urging Christians to remain steadfast in their work with God. Our correspondent Damilola Daudu has more.
Christ Apostolic Church Arogunbogunmi International has celebrated its 30th Founders Day anniversary with a Thanksgiving service reflecting on 3 decades of God's faithfulness, growth, and impactful ministry. The anniversary service brought together ministers of God, church members, and invited guests from within and outside the state to commemorate the milestone, themed Wonderful God, with the anchor scripture taken from Isaiah 25 verse 1 to 12. The celebration focused on appreciating God for his unfailing love, protection, and numerous testimonies recorded by the ministry since its establishment. Speaking during the celebration, Baba Arogunbogunmi, General Evangelist of the Christ Apostolic Church Nigeria and overseas, Prophet Richard Kolawole, appreciated God for preserving the ministry over the past 3 decades. He described the 30th Founders Day anniversary as a testimony to God's unwavering faithfulness and thanked ministers, members, and well-wishers for their steadfast support and commitment to the vision of the church. He urged believers to continue trusting in God, living holy lives, and remain dedicated to the propagation of the gospel. Expressing confidence and greater testimonies, he urged believers to continue trusting God, living holy lives, and remain dedicated to the propagation of the gospel.
We need to move closer to God. That is number one. When we face the challenges like this, we just need to face God and move closer to God. That is number one. Number two, we need to increase our prayer more than before. I need to advise all the church leaders, they should not afraid of persecution. They should stand firm on the rock of Jesus Christ, which on the rock of Jesus. They should stand right, firm with their foot in the faith of God, and they should not be afraid of their challenges or what they will face. They will overcome.
Delivering the sermon and goodwill message, the President, CAC Nigeria and Overseas, Pastor Henry Ojo, congratulated the church and encouraged believers to remain steadfast in their faith, stressing that God's faithfulness remained constant despite life challenges. He urged Christians to continually trust in God, describing Him as the source of every success and breakthrough.
To celebrate the 30th founding days of this ministry. It is a glorious day, and when something started for complete 30 years and sustained up to this moment is something to be celebrated. We thank God for what the Lord is doing in the life of Prophet Richard Kolawole, the planters of this church, and is now the general evangelist of CAC Nigeria and Overseas. And since he has come to be as a general evangelist, we have seen tremendous progress in the church expansions of the ministry from one place to another.
In his remarks, the Chairman Planning Committee, Peter Olushino Olakpoju, appreciated God for sustaining the ministry through the years and commended members for their dedication and support towards the church vision.
Today we are celebrating 30 years of God's faithfulness, 30 years of wonderful God in our midst. My message for Nigeria as a whole is we should put our hope in God. We should keep on praying in the midst of insecurity and economic hardship. It is only the intervention of God that can solve the problem.
Also present at the anniversary celebration was the General Secretary of the CAC Nigeria and Overseas, Pastor Emmanuel Babajide, General Superintendent CAC Nigeria and Overseas, Pastor J.D. Onagwa, alongside other ministers and church leaders who joined the congregation in celebrating the landmark anniversary. Special prayer were offered for the church, its leadership members, and the nation, while songs of thanksgiving and praise highlighted the event. The celebration also featured special musical ministration, goodwill messages, and moments of reflection on the church journey over the past 30 years. Damilola Daudu reporting for Dominion News.
On the foreign scene, a court in army-controlled Port Sudan has sentenced Rapid Sponsor Forces leader Muhammad Adam Gandalo and 15 others to death in absentia over the killing of West Darfur Governors Kamis Abaka and other war crimes committed during the conflict. The court found the defendant guilty of war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and attacks on civilians. It also ordered that the case be referred to the Supreme Court and directed authorities to seek the arrest and extradition of those convicted through Interpol and other international channels. The ruling is the first against the RSF leadership since the conflict with the Sudanese army began in April 2023. The war has killed tens of thousands of people, displaced more than 11 million, and fueled what the United Nations described as the world's largest displacement and hunger crisis. A massive fire has swept through a bar in Bangkok, killing at least 27 people and leaving 22 others in critical condition. The fire, which broke out in the city Kachutchak district before spreading, was extinguished by firefighters within about 30 minutes, but many victims were found in a bathroom where they had sought shelter from the flames and smoke. Authorities suspect the fire may have been caused by an electrical fault, although investigations are ongoing. Prime Minister Anuti Chakunvirakul has promised a thorough investigation into the tragedy. The United States and Iran have exchanged heavy airstrikes in a major escalation of the conflict, with both sides claiming control of the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Iran said it targeted U.S. military assets across the Gulf and announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, while the United States accused Tehran of attacking a commercial vessel before launching strikes on dozens of Iranian military targets, including air defense systems, radar sites, missile and drone facilities. The renewed fighting has cast doubt on the future of the interim U.S.-Iran agreement aimed at ending the conflict. Meanwhile, Antonio Guterres has warned that a return to full-scale hostilities would have catastrophic consequences and urged both sides to pursue diplomacy. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has discussed that the organization is considering expanding the 2030 FIFA World Cup to 64 teams. Infantino said the proposal put forward by South American football officials will be reviewed after the 2026 World Cup. If approved, the expansion will allow nearly one-third of FIFA's member nations to qualify for the tournament. Infantino said the move will give more countries the opportunity to compete on football's biggest stage, arguing that broader participation will improve the global standard of the game and encourage the development of emerging football nations. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at DominionCast. And that ends the news update on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. Thank you so much for watching.